Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. This is Brian, and this is the Brian's Badger Lodge, which is basically our call-in show. I'm going to try and do these at least once a month so that I can give a voice to you people in our wonderful audience. You want to comment on something, you want to tell us a story, share an anecdote, or ask a question, feel free to head on down to our Discord server where we can get you connected with our screeners. Swashberry is in there right now in the screening room. There is a link in the description that should work so that you can join us. And when you do, just jump into the screening room voice channel just so that Swashberry can make sure that all of your audio settings are working properly and that you're not going to come into the live show and make it into a mess. So Swash is going to help you with that. So please, there's a link in the description to get into the Discord. Be sure to join us there. I don't have a specific topic, although I do have something I do want to share that's kind of came out today. It's kind of breaking. I'm probably going to get into it more on the news show on Tuesday, but I will talk about that in the meantime. Today's show is probably going to go for about an hour and a half at the most. So, if you want to get in now and join the call. So, all right. So I'm hoping to find that you guys will be able to hang out with us. In the meantime, please smash that like button, because it helps us get a little bit more exposure. So be a part of the fun and a part of the action and help Honey Badger Radio reach more people. I know that we still get messages every now and then saying that we're criminally undersubbed, and I felt that way since before I even started working with HBR, that, people like Allison and Karen and Hannah should definitely have more eyes on the content. But I think that we have to use every tool that we have, to gain every little advantage we can. So if you hit the like button, I think it's going to be more likely to show up in people's recommended feeds, and maybe we'll get some new folks in here. I know that we have had some, and I'm glad about that. But let's see if we can make that number grow. So please smash that like button. Okay. So I guess while we're waiting to see if anyone wants to come in, I'm going to talk a little bit about some recent news regarding Twitter. Now, ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter and started running it, I was very pleased with everything that he had done. He trimmed the fat off of it, like 85%, I think he said, of the people, or a large portion of people were fired or let go. I can imagine that the reason for this was there was just too many people that weren't necessary, and you could probably run it with fewer people, spend less money, and also if you've seen those videos, those TikTok videos where people work in the tech industry, it's mostly women, and they're sharing their typical day, and it's all of this It's just they're just hanging out, drinking coffees, having fancy food, playing with their friends, drinking, and so on. And there is not a lot of work happening. And so I bet that that's probably the case in Twitter, because I remember Google was also trying to create this kind of play atmosphere where, people would have short days, or they wouldn't do a lot of work during the day, and a lot of the stuff that could get done in maybe one shift was taking several days, if not weeks, because of the way that they manage things. And Musk got rid of that, which I appreciate, because it probably should be running at least somewhat more efficiently, especially considering that most of the people that worked at Twitter were also kind of activists. They had a specific political agenda in mind. They were okay with censorship. They were okay with preventing people from sharing information, and a lot of the stuff that caused are things that we're still dealing with today, right at this moment. So, then I thought that things were looking great, and then he hired a new CEO, and the CEO that he is replacing himself with, it doesn't look good. It does not look good. And I know some of you guys already know about this, but I'm gonna, for the people who may not know. So I have this Forbes article called "What to Know About Linda Yaccarino." I think that's how you say it. Musk's pick for Twitter CEO. Elon Musk's search for a Twitter CEO is over after he announced Linda Yaccarino as the company's new chief on Friday, so today. She is a seasoned ad executive whose arrival would likely soothe skittish advertisers following months of drastic overhauls to content moderation and verification, but whose background may alienate some of the billionaire's loyal and free speech loving fan base. Okay? She was a chairman of global advertising and partnerships at NBC Universal. So NBC as in MSNBC or MSNPC, where she worked for more than a decade and managed a global team of 2,000 people who generated more than $100 billion in ad sales, according to her company profile. She parted ways with NCBU Friday morning. So that was this morning. Yaccarino and her team were instrumental in the launch of Peacock, NBCU's ad-supported streaming platform, and have embraced new ways of measuring advertising performance, as well as forging partnerships with the likes of Apple News, BuzzFeed, YouTube, Snapchat, and Twitter, her profile said. According to her LinkedIn, Yaccarino is also involved with the World Economic Forum, the WEF, yes, the live in the pod and eat the bugs World Economic Forum. And she is still involved with them. Okay, this is not a past tense thing. Where she chairs the organization's task force on the future of work and sits on the media, entertainment, and culture industry governor's steering committee. The agenda-setting governor of industry, political and civic leaders, perhaps best known for its annual gathering in Davos, Switzerland, has long been a lightning rod for baseless conspiracy theories, and Yaccarino's connection appears to irk some of Musk's right-leaning or anarchist base, who suggests her background undermines the platform's commitment to free speech championed under current leadership. Well, because it does. And, it's not a conspiracy theory if they're literally telling us what they're going to do. Like Davos and the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, it's not a secret. They're just telling you this is what we're going to do, and that's that. So it's not a conspiracy theory, Forbes. Do your homework. Okay. So I'm just checking to see if anybody's jumped in. I did get tagged in a message, but it's not that. So anyway, so yeah, this is kind of scary. Yaccarino is also partnered with government on several occasions, first helping to promote healthy lifestyles as a member of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, appointed by former President Donald Trump, and later working with government agencies, the White House, and Pope Francis to produce a COVID-19 vaccination campaign in her role as chair of nonprofit advertising group, the Ad Council. I mean, if you're gonna work with powerful people, you may have to rub elbows with people that are less than, let's say, that you would not find palatable. I'm not a fan of Pope Francis. I don't know anything about the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. So maybe maybe she's, I don't know. She doesn't sound good to me, but I'm going to show you what Musk had to say after the announcement. The executive's connection to a pandemic-era vaccination campaign has also bothered proponents of Twitter's more liberal content moderation policies, many of whom fear Yaccarino could bring back the stricter bars for misinformation that they struggled to clear before Musk did away with them. That is possible, but I don't know if I would call it liberals. I mean, I don't want to get into the jab, but all I will say is that it seemed that most of the left was for it. That's all I'll say. It seemed like that was... I know that there were some that weren't, but I think by and large, the pro-establishment, woke left was for the jab. They were 100% down, and it had everything to do with the fact that their people were pushing it. It had nothing to do with what they knew about it. So I don't call them liberals. That's not liberal, but I know a lot of people do, and they're I don't know. I don't think it's an accurate way of framing things. So let's look at some of the stuff that this woman has done. So this is the Ad Council. The mission is to convene the best storytellers to educate, unite, and uplift by opening hearts, inspiring action, and accelerating change. We won't stop until we live in a society where every single person can thrive. So that sounds like commie shit to me. Sorry, I know it sounds judgmental, but that's commie shit. I'm just gonna put it out there. There is no such society without extreme levels of suppression or oppression. So, hello TJWK Media. I don't know if I know you, but feel free to call in. Anybody who wants, it's free. There's a link in the description that will get you into Discord so that you can do a shout out, say hello to your mom, like make a comment, and give you your thoughts on this whole business. Do you think that Musk is making a terrible mistake? Do you think that he has something planned? Is this 4D chess? Like, what's happening, right? Am I gonna have to go to Truth Social and just stay there because Trump did say that it's a far better platform? Of course he did. So yeah, and they have like look, I'm just gonna go to the next thing. This is a commitment. They have their anti-racism and racial equity is a mission. So again, just pointing out there, okay, not being racist, like every normal person, is not the same as being anti-racist. So when they say anti-racist, they mean racist because that's what anti-racism is. And so when I see that, it's a red flag. It should be like, we're at the point now where, at least I'm at the point, I don't know about you guys, but I'm at the point now where if I see a person, I don't care what their politics is, and they give any amount of credit to feminism, like ever in history, for any reason, they're full of shit. Like, I'm just gonna tell them, you claim to be intelligent, you claim to know what you're talking about, and you're still saying the same tripe. And this is the reason why we're gonna just keep losing, because as long as there's how do we put it? Like, the Motte and Bailey, as long as there's a place for them to retreat to, then they will never be done. And that's why this has to stop. And there's red flags all over. All of this critical consciousness garbage, all of this language that they manipulate and twist, it all has to stop. Like, full stop, okay? So I hear anti-racism, I assume, no, you're a communist. Like, that's that's it. You're a commie, or you're a feminist, or you're a globalist, or you are part of the WEF, or whatever. It doesn't matter because they're all the same. Like, you're a technocrat. It doesn't matter. It's all garbage. So anyway, I'll read this. The Ad Council's mission has always been not just to respond to culture, but to drive it, to find insights that can change minds, spark new behaviors, and move the country forward. Forward towards what? Who knows? Dismantling of everything. At times we have succeeded at this, and at times we have fallen short, but the singular value that unifies each of us at the Ad Council is the persistent desire to continuously improve ourselves and our society. Our commitment to racial equity is no different. Now, normally people would stick to that word equity because, we've kind of like been, I think, conditioned to believe that equity is different from equality. And I know that some of you guys are going to say, well, it is different. It's not different. Equity is basically making everything the same. Equality is also making, like, it claims that it's not. It's about like, oh, we're just going to give people equal opportunity. But the problem with equal opportunity is, first of all, not everyone's going to have the same opportunity at the beginning, so it's not equal. But most importantly, people measure the success of equality of opportunity based on the outcome, which means that it's not actually equality of opportunity. It never was, because if you all that you can really advocate for is allowing people to be free to choose what they want to do with their life. And that doesn't mean removing barriers, because we can't, that's too difficult to parse. Like, there's just, letting people be free to forge their own destiny. Problem with that is that not everyone is cut from the same cloth, and so you're going to get different outcomes. That's the reality of liberty, right? It's to basically say, yeah, go ahead, do whatever you want in your life, but not everyone's going to become a billionaire. That's not what it means. Still, very few people are going to make it. So I'm sorry, but there's no such thing. Like, equality is a lie, just like equity is a lie, and they both mean the same thing because people use them the same way. So even though they're saying racial equity, and that's that's a red flag, it wouldn't matter if they said racial equality; it would be the same. Um, okay, I see that someone is in the chat, so we'll see what they say. But now let's look at So she worked with the World Economic Forum. I assume you guys know some things about them. There's plenty of stuff out there about it. So this is her wearing a pussy hat. So we know she's a feminist. We know that she believes that Trump was grabbing people by the pussy because that's what the pussy hat came from. That's where it spawned, right? And now it's kind of like a badge. Like, you have to wear it. So when you have to go to the Women's March, you have to wear one, and you're basically telling all of the women there that you are one of them, and you agree with this whole gigantic lie, that Trump is some kind of serial rapist. Which, by the way, regardless of how you feel about Trump, I want to point out that it doesn't matter because he is an avatar that represents all men, and especially all white men. So if they can demonize him, they're demonizing you through him. This is why it's important that you stay focused on what can be proven and what is true over what people's feelings say. He basically set up the system, the Supreme Court, to overturn Roe v. Wade, and this has women all in a tizzy. But the thing is, it was never a legitimate ruling to begin with. So this is just going back to the way it was, which is essentially going to the states. So it's not the Handmaid's Tale exactly. Not that anyone would want that, because the Handmaid's Tale was worse for men, actually, but whatever. So anyway, this is her at the Women's March, the CEO of Twitter, with a pussy hat, okay? These are some videos. I'm going to play a little bit of this. You guys should be able to hear it. And I'm just going to play a little bit so you see what she's about. All right. That's basically you didn't hear anything? I wonder why you didn't hear anything. Hold on, guys. Let me go back. It's probably because a setting is not right on my OBS. Let me just check. Sorry, guys. Video capture device. Maybe I need to add a thing. Frame, restream. I got it. I got an idea. Okay. Yeah, just read the lips, bro. I could turn on the closed caption. Now, let's try it now, okay? So, did you guys read that? So it said, she basically is saying diversity is the intersection where innovation happens. It's a bunch of throwaway, fancy sounding words that means we need different people with different colors and different genitals. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to do anything. I don't know. Put your microphone next to the speaker. Were you guys not able to read it? I can do this one other way, okay? Hold on. I'll do it one other way. It's too dark. Okay. Hold on a second. All right. So I'm just going to set this up here. I know that the sound plays here. So let me just put that in. And you guys should be able to see it in just a moment. Okay, so just move this up and to there. Okay, so you should be able to hear this now. It's probably just that the Badger Lodge scene wasn't set up appropriately. So All right, here we go.
At the intersection of diversity lives innovation. So when you're able to bring together different groups of people who have different experiences, that's where innovation is born.
All right. So I'm not going to play any more of that video. It's like 12 minutes, but you get the gist. I mean, like there's a reason why that stinger was right at the beginning, because that's the most important takeaway from that interview. Here's a picture of her with her husband. I guess he's Claude Peter Madrazo. I don't know who that is. Media exec. No, that's her. I'm just looking to see if there's any information about the husband. I don't know if it matters much, but he's a former executive at Turner Broadcasting. That's all we got, and they are both Italians. Okay, well, that's not useful. I mean, okay, whatever. And then we have this. So let me just move back to the lodge. So when this happened, okay, somebody tweeted, Jackson Hinkle said, "We're all getting banned again," and he basically just has like her, I guess information about her association with the World Economic Forum and with the Ad Council, and like all of her experience as a essentially like a woke activist, and Musk hired her, okay, and Luke Rudkowski tweeted and said, "And here come the shadow bans again." And Musk responded saying that will not be the case. How? Can you guys help me out here? Okay, so I'm going to start taking calls. That's the last thing I wanted to say about this. This is, I mean, it's your company, Elon, do whatever you want. But if you don't think that this is going to blow up in your face, I don't know. You must have something planned. So I want to know, do you think that Musk is making a correct choice here? Do you think he's playing 4D chess? Do you think that he's like dumb enough to fall for this? Like what, do you think that there's going to be, cuz like I don't like these associations. I'm concerned. So I'm probably going to I'm waiting to hear back from Twitter about my account. But I'm probably gonna start like an account with somebody else. I don't know, whatever's more populated, whether it's Gab or Getter or Truth Social. I'm probably gonna move to one of those places. So anyway, I hope that you guys call in. I do have somebody, 2 people actually waiting. So I'm gonna start taking questions now. So first, Swash, if you could tell Chris that I'm gonna be grabbing him in a second. Swashberry sends me a message and says, at Chris161 has spoken on HBR in the past and would like to expand on the story of how he was groomed into bisexuality by an older woman during his teen goth years. He poses the question, does being groomed into something necessarily make it illegitimate? All right. Well, you guys talk about that too. I'm going to bring Chris in here. So, all right. Hello, Chris. How you doing?
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Yeah. I am well. I have learned quite a bit since last you and I spoke.
What do you mean?
Well, I have found more evidence to suggest that I actually indeed was abused at a young age, and also I now admit, I'm now aware of the fact that I was groomed for about 4 years towards the end of my teenagehood.
Yeah.
So fun times there. But anyways, the question I wanted to pose was, is getting either peer pressured or maybe not groomed is a bit higher on that question, but is getting peer pressure into something make that something valid or not? Does it make it irrelevant?
So your question because I read it in the questions section, it says, does being groomed into something necessarily make it illegitimate?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. What do you mean by illegitimate?
Well, I was essentially peer pressure into bisexuality.
Sure.
For quite some time by older women. I started online, but it kind of finished in person towards 17, 18. I had more grooming going on in person. But at first it was mostly online stuff. And of course, that leads into physical things with things on the side. But yeah, so again, I don't know if being bisexual is something men are pressured into, or if it's something that
Oh, so you're wondering if it's something that you were socialized into, or if it's something that was innate. Is that what you're
yeah,
asking?
exactly, yeah. Essentially, yeah. Because
You know,
I have no idea.
yeah. So I used to believe that just like was it Lady Gaga that said it? Like I was born this way. I used to
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
that to be true, but you know who's actually shaken my belief in that? The queer theorists. Because
Mm,
the actual queer lobby, the G Mafia, they believe that people can be engineered to be gay or bi or trans. That's what they
yeah,
do. And so
they have.
if they believe that that's the case and they no longer believe in the idea that people are born that way. Now, I mean, I think that it's probably the case that sometimes people are born that way, but that results in a very small percentage of the population because the human race isn't made like that. We're not made to be gay. So if it turns out, and let's just say that it somehow happens without any interference from parents or abusive parents or step parents or peers or siblings or relatives or teachers or priests or whatever, right? Um, if they still turn out that way, it's probably like a very, very, very small percent of the population. But I think that the number has exploded partly from a social contagion that seems to be like taking over, the Zoomers and the millennials. But
Yeah,
I do think that it seems now, thanks to the actual G Mafia, that it is engineered into people in most cases. So
yeah,
what does that mean? Does that mean that you are like somehow wrong for this or whatever? No, I don't believe that. Um, I mean, you unfortunately, and I am really sorry about that you had that experience growing up. Um, but I think it's probably left an imprint, and that's why you have, the attractions that you do.
yeah,
That would be my guess. But you know what? You just have to I think anyway. Um, you should not be ashamed. You should not um, let's say blame yourself, okay? Because it was like how young were you? You think teenager?
it fit about 15. Yeah,
Yeah,
when a lot of this stuff.
14 to 18.
yeah. So like it's not your fault, right? So, um, but this is like your life now, so you have to decide like what you want to go from there. But I don't think it makes anyone illegitimate. I don't think trans people are illegitimate. I don't think other groups like that are illegitimate at all. But I do think that that sometimes, if not much of the time, they are groomed and conditioned and pushed and abused and otherwise sort of like forced into this new, I guess, way of seeing the world, or this new lifestyle. And if a person chooses, let's say that they had, because there's like a staggering percentage of the trans community that have experienced childhood trauma. Of course there is. Like, it's not surprising because their trans identity is not their only problem. They usually have a lot of other, mental health problems too, and it's almost always associated with abuse. And it's you're either going to come out as trans or you're going to become a criminal because they both have the same experiences. So this isn't
Yeah,
me picking on trans people or anything, right? Or whatever. But for some, like they'll just find a way to live that like that. Blair White did that, Theron Meyer did that, and that's fine. I applaud them. Do whatever you think is going to work. But then for others, they may try to I don't know, fight against it or live a different way or whatever. And I think that that's just what people have to do. Now, what I would like to see is a reduction in child abuse in general, and see how things turn out, because that shouldn't be like how you come out. Like that shouldn't be what's behind it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I want to add to that. It's funny you mentioned the trans thing because from a lot of the stats I've seen, a lot of them have beeper mothers.
oh, absolutely.
A lot of them.
We did a whole. That's the thing. Like about the trans thing. We did a news story about it. Like there's again, it's a crazy high percentage of people, especially young people, coming out as trans, are raised by mothers with mental health issues, and a lot of that percentage are single mothers, whether the father is not around at all or he is not close to the family, like he's sort of like, you know, he gets weekend visitations or something like that. I mean, it's literally the story of I forget the guy's name, but there was like this man who his wife is like a teacher and a queer professor or something, like queer studies or something, and she wanted to transition their son to a woman or to a girl, and the son is like really, really young, right?
Yeah.
And the father lost custody, and I think that he actually lost that case, and that she's just going to transition his kid against his will and against the child's will, because I mean, a child of like 4 years old, they don't know what they want. Like, you know, they want to be a dragon. That doesn't mean we do surgery on them, you know. So
See, when I was a kid, I wanted to grow up and be a warlock, and somehow that became true. So there you go.
yeah, I guess.
There you go. I ended up becoming one. Who would have thought? Well, I was
Yeah.
accused of being one, and then I just adopted the role.
Yeah, Richard says the mom is a pediatrician, and I knew she was. I thought she was a teacher. I may have had her mixed up with somebody else that transitioned their kid. But anyway, thank you for that. So I don't know. Did you want to ask another question or say something else to what I said? Do you disagree with me or?
I mean, I don't disagree, but I'm kind of thinking when it comes to dating, when you're like California has the Romeo and Juliet clause.
Yeah.
That's where I lived for a long time, and it's a 4 to 5 year age difference. When one is above 18, the other's below it, but they're within 4 to 5 years of each other. It's still legal. Can you, cat? Will you go? Sorry, my cat's being weird. And I wonder if that constitutes, like, where does that fall in the line of grooming?
What's the what where does what fall like?
Like if you have someone who's 18 or 19.
Oh, you mean like the age thing?
Yeah, like if they're both within 4 years, then it is legal under California law.
Yeah. I don't think that's. I mean, I guess it depends on where the gap is at, but I think that, you know, like maturity. I mean, you can usually tell if somebody is like, obviously the age should matter. I'm not gonna go against that, but I mean, if you're close in age, I don't think that should be a big deal. Like maybe the chat can chime in with their thoughts on that. But like, let's say the boy is 16 and the girl is 19.
Yeah.
And I'm intentionally doing the genders that way because most of the time people think of it in the reverse, but you don't really know. Like there are definitely cougar women or
Yes.
like women that like younger men. So let's just go with that. Let's say the boy is 16, the girl is 19. Is that grooming? Is that untoward? I don't know. I don't think it is. I think it's like if you're, you know, Demi Moore, or if Demi Moore is dating Ashton Kutcher, I think that's a little bit creepy, even though they're both adults.
Yeah.
Or if it's what was the one, Asia Argento? She was like sleeping with an underage boy. Jada Pinkett, also like her son's friend. You know.
Okay,
So,
it's one thing to cheat on your husband. It's another thing to do it with someone your son's age.
yeah, that's
even worse.
that's the thing. Like, I think that those are not good. But like, if it's like if they're close and one of them happens to be like a legal adult and the other one is just, you know, shy of that, I don't think that's a big deal. It's probably a good idea to, you know, not get too sexual right away, though, just in case, because, you know, we've seen stories of underage boys that get raped by adult women, and then they get pregnant, and then the boy has to pay child support. I mean, there's tons of stories like that. This isn't weird, you know.
You know.
So
To kind of add to my situation, I'm 6'10" in goth,
mhm.
so that tends to draw an untoward crowd, if you know what I mean.
That's weird, but you're in California?
Oh, I used to be. I now live in Iowa.
Where?
Iowa, the land of
Oh,
corn and
Iowa.
snow.
Well, yeah, you're gonna stand out in Iowa.
Actually, in my town, I am the tallest,
Yeah,
but there's like 3 or 4 dudes that are like over 6'8".
yeah, but are they all goths?
Well, no, but
Yeah,
still.
you want to go to like
I think my wife and I are
if
the
you
only
want to be
goths
around
here.
your people,
Yeah.
you need to go to like a city where there's more goths. But the problem is that those are cities, and
Yeah,
cities suck right now.
Oh god, I live in a very small town. That's nearby the world's largest popcorn ball. It's in that general area.
Yeah,
So fun thing that a town
you know what?
is from us knows.
I don't know if you thought of this, but like, if you're like really unique in your community,
Mhm.
you could potentially start like a club or a business or something that caters to goths. Like, open up your own little, what was that store called, where you can get the goth clothes, the club kid clothes. What was it called?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
in the malls, and you can get like the.
Well,
What?
there was Hot Topic, but that was goth for
Yeah,
normies.
Hot Topic. Yeah, well, something like that, and you know, get like the leather spike boots and whatnot. And I'll bet that you're gonna get a lot of like people that you know always were always interested in it going in there. So,
There is a men's club in our town. There's a men's club. I'm actually
Yeah.
considering joining when I get into.
there's
better
one
health.
there's one in my town too, but it's like it's for stonemasons, so I can't join it. They're very particular. I was going to though. I was going to. I was like, I'm still super curious. I drive past it every day, and I'm like, man, I kind of want to go in there, but I'm afraid I'm not going to come out. So-
Yeah, no kidding. Oddly enough, in our town, there's a stonemason lodge too.
yeah,
And there's the big stonemason, like I forget what that device is called, but it's like a shape of an A.
I know what
like
you're
that.
talking about. It's basically like
Yeah,
for
like
landscaping
photography.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be landscaping. But like, there's that on the side of the building, and we drive by it all the time, and I'm like, wonder what they're doing in there.
Yeah. You know,
just get curious.
there I don't know, but I will say though, I really like the idea of a men's club like that. I don't think it should be that, because I don't know what goes on in there, and I know that they're very, very particular on who they let in. It's a sextant. Thank you, Richard.
Sextant.
Yeah, sextant. Looks kind of like a compass.
Sextants were used for naval navigation.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, I think the idea of that for men is a really good one. I just wouldn't want it to be just like that. You know. So
Well, if I was going to have like our own kind of club kind of thing, I'd do not just goth, but also any kind of alternative against the grain kind of, you know, especially the super gun loving types, because those are the types I tend to get along with. So,
mhm.
you know, the Second Amendment is absolute, but no.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, you know, there's a few things I can probably expand it into.
Okay.
But that is an idea. I think when I get into better health, because I am trying to exercise my way out of crippledom. Once I get there, I will.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Start doing it. Yeah,
I'm gonna get back on that too now that I'm like more or less recovered from whatever was trying to kill me like in February. So I am almost at 100%, and before all this started, excuse me, I was like going to the gym with my wife like pretty regularly. And when we moved here, I wasn't able to because we couldn't find anybody to watch the dog, and we didn't want to pay for it. Like, it's crazy expensive, right? But now I know this neighbor. She lives right downstairs, and she's willing to watch him for nothing. So, yeah, like maybe after I have a couple more doctor's visits coming up, and maybe after that's over, I'm gonna start a gym membership and go back, because we were going. you know, and I was actually really enjoying myself. But
Actually, something
huh?
I learned recently in regards to my crippledom. I have something called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and apparently, if you exercise good enough towards the mid to late 20s, because that's kind of the period where you get fucked with pain. After
Yeah,
that, you start to do much better in terms of your 30s. Your 30s, you tend to be able to be more active with less bone slippage and cartilage issues and all that other stuff. So I have hope, is all I'm saying.
yeah,
So,
cool.
which is always good to have. It's hope is the most powerful weapon.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any final thoughts?
Jeez. Well, I could shill something, but I don't know if I'm allowed to.
You can go ahead and do it.
I am continuing the work of something I did a lot of the lore building of when I was a kid, shortly before all the grooming happened. And it is a series of short stories of a fantasy medieval kind of thing, but it's all told from the perspective of narrators who are from the Victorian age.
Yeah, nice.
So it's kind of a mix of those two writing styles.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say the narrators are just as prejudiced and just as stuck in their ways as people were in the Victorian age.
Yeah.
Because I think we need to be reminded of our past.
Right. You know, in the Honey Badger Discord, the free, even if you're not a paying member, there's like, you know, the badgernation.online, which has some access to some of the rooms. And one of them is a writer's, I think it's called Writer's Retreat. It's where a bunch of people who are telling stories can like exchange ideas and shoot the shit with each other. So, you know, maybe you should be a part of that community. Maybe you should jump in there and you know, hang out and tell them, you know, show them what you got going on and all that.
It's interesting you mentioned that because I have been to Writers Workshop and they're great. I wrote a little Mech Warrior short story. I was coming off of drugs at the time, so it was written really badly.
Yeah.
But you know, I did that, and they gave me very good feedback, and it has helped me kind of plot how I'm going to write this. I've written a lot of this stuff in notebooks when I was a kid, and now I'm putting it all into one place, which is taking me forever of backlogging and cataloging to be like, okay, I wrote this when I was like 16. Let's see how it works. So yeah. So hopefully that will be the as Razor points out, the Iron Age. Hopefully that will.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that is gonna be it's not gonna blow up overnight, but I think that what he calls the Iron Age, I don't think of it that way because I think the Iron Age was the 90s, but that's okay. That was my understanding of the comics ages was the Iron Age is like the 90s where everybody had huge guns and pouches. And that was an Image Comics and all that. But yeah, nonetheless, like this new crop of independent creators in the creative space, as well as you know, other mediums like film and gaming and so on, it's going to take a little while, but I think it's going to be very successful. So
I am hoping to
definitely get in on that on the ground floor if you can.
I am hoping to turn a lot of these stories into a cohesive concept, and B, its own little game thing. Like I actually have a tabletop idea based.
Oh, nice.
And
you know, if you build a really nice world in your storytelling, that will make any other media more successful.
Yeah, and a very short, abridged part of it is there are all the races are based off of either one or a mixture of two of the elements: fire, water, ice, and stuff. And the personality types are based off the elements as well, and those personality types tend to stack with the elemental types of the race, and that stacks with their magic, which can also be two types of elements. And when you have two opposite elements, that's a chaos pairing, and it causes all sorts of weird, goofy, DM-loving shit. Like, you'll just walk by a forest, and you'll see some dude on fire walking around, smoking a pipe, and you'll be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then it'll just vanish for no reason. Like, shit like that. Really weird shit happens. So,
All right.
but yeah, it's a very short, abridged concept of what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. It is kind of working on. It takes place on a continent called Golgia, with two main capitals, Golgotha and Gothoria. So, if you look for those three names in the future, you may eventually find it. Although it took me until like 19 to discover that Golgotha was in the Bible, which I had no idea when I came up with the name of it.
Yeah, that name's been used in a couple of things. Like there were these books that I used to read years ago. They were called the Mutant Chronicles, and they were kind of like the B-list version of Warhammer 40,000. It was like from Britain and everything, but there were these demons, I guess. I don't know what else to call it. It was called the Dark Symmetry or something, and there were these like demons and undead and stuff. And one of them was a queen named Golgotha. And it always stood out for me because she was very cool. She was like a spider woman thing, you know. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Mutant Chronicles because it's a little it's not well known. Like most people know 40K, but they don't know about that.
I actually knew a guy, I think in high school, who was into that. I think so. That was about 10 years ago. So.
Yeah, this was years ago when I was doing it. It was like in the 90s. But anyway, Chris, I'm gonna let you go. So thanks for calling in.
Yes,
and
appreciate it.
What?
And it's good to hear from you, kindest Doge. It's good to know you're alive and well and not full of ball cancer.
I am. Well, I'm in remission, but I have to go back for regular checkups. In fact, I think I'm going back at the end of the month for another one, and then I won't be back for another 6 months. So hopefully everything is fine. But you know, once you had one cancer, I think it increases your risk of other cancers. So I gotta just remain adamant.
Oh yeah. I'm sure you'll pull out of it fine. I do remember when God was playing a Job moment on you, but you've recovered. You beat Job. Congratulations.
I have managed to avoid the Reaper multiple times. I don't know how many lives I have left. I'm not a cat, so
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Chris. I'm gonna move you back into the screening room, and have a good weekend.
Yes, and everyone take care and don't eat poisonous bran muffins. Believe me.
All right. Okay, so let's see. Is anyone else going to come in here? If not, I will look at your comments and maybe comment on that. I do see someone in there named Critter, but apparently he's just here to hang out in the screening room, just chilling, which is fine. You guys can use it just to hang out too. You don't have to do that. So Great Endorse says Elon is so based he brought in a WEF puppet. Is that based? I'm not sure. I'm like, is this a mistake? I feel like it's a mistake at this stage. It's a bit worrying. Let me see. Totem says I don't care about Twitter, to be honest. Well, I like having. It's nice to have a platform that everyone is on, where you can reach the most people. It doesn't have to be Twitter, but Twitter is I think it is the biggest platform outside of TikTok, maybe. But no, I don't want to be on TikTok. That thing that's a weapon. It's not a social media thing. But if Twitter doesn't survive, and it doesn't survive, and then people will just move to something else. We'll either go on, like I said, Gab, Getter, or Truth Social. I don't know which one of those is the best, but I'm probably gonna join one of them. I have a Gab account from years ago, but I haven't used it in a long time. Let me see. What a Mayor Day says, absolutely, Brian, there is no ground for discussion or compromise with any ounce of this BS. Yeah, absolutely. Don't. I'm telling you, if you give an inch, you lose. Because James Lindsay didn't say this yet, but he has to at some point, because he's been moving towards this. The moment you say, I don't know, the moment you say something like, feminism was once useful, but it's gone off the rails, you've lost. You've lost because you've given your enemies a place where they can attack you from, which is however early you think feminism was good. Or if you don't believe that, maybe you just believed, yeah, men did treat women like garbage. Like I have a old friend who still brings this up, and I'm like, you don't have any evidence of that. It doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would, like, if men treated women like the way that you think they used to, we wouldn't be here because we wouldn't exist because the race would kill itself off. It literally makes no sense. And you could apply this in any, like, critical consciousness associated talking point. It's all the same. It's always lies. The purpose of it is to essentially ridicule you. Like, they find something, right, that they don't have control over, and then they call it racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, whatever, until they control it. And then they have it. And all of a sudden you realize that none of that shit that they were worried about matters, because at the end of the day, if you are black or a minority or a woman or gay and you oppose them, then you lose that status. They don't treat you like an equal anymore, which is, it's obvious because they never cared to begin with. It was all about control and power. And so you have to deny that at every turn. It doesn't make you a bad person to say, you know what, I'm not anti-racist. Or it doesn't make you a bad person to say, I don't see color. Or it doesn't make you a bad person to say, you know what, some women are cunts. That's not, it doesn't make you a bad person because it's true. And, well, anyway, so yeah, that's my philosophy. It doesn't make friends, but when it does, they're going to be really good friends because they're going to understand, they're going to get it. So, Neat Scholar says, I'm not convinced that just wearing the hat constitutes proof that she believes that stuff, but it does prove that she wants to associate with people that believe this crap, which is bad enough. Well, I mean, I'd have to hear it from the horse's mouth, but I'm telling you, if she said that, you know, because she's all about, like I said, she's all about diversity, equity, inclusion, part of the World Economic Forum. I mean, she's woke. That's all you need to know. Like, I don't care if the pussy hat is real or not. Everything else is. She says it. So, anyway, though, thanks for the comment. I get where you're coming from, Neat Scholar. Disbelief says, I rewatched Boston Legal, and of course there is an abortion debate. I was so happy when they mentioned Roe v. Wade, and the argument was, it's the law. No, it's not. No, Roe v. Wade, it's like the worst case for abortion. Like, it really isn't. It's just not good legislation. It's just not good. That's why it had to go, because it didn't really make any sense. It was like they were taking something and twisting it, and then, like, the woman, you know, she lied about the rape and everything. So it was like, oh, of course she did. She was pushed into it by feminists in the 60s or whenever this happened. So, okay. Musk probably owes her a favor or something. I don't know, maybe. I mean, I'm not gonna go out and say that Musk is, like, totally based, because I don't know. He keeps calling himself a centrist, and whenever I hear people say that, I just think, oh, you're afraid of being lumped in with the far right or something. Like, at least have the courage to just say, you know what, I don't care what you think I am. This is what I believe, and they just put it out there. You don't have to label yourself anything, but don't go out of your way to be like, oh, guys, I'm not like that. Like, that's a weak move, in my opinion. It's kind of spineless. Like, I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of if you're right-wing, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, whatever. I mean, like, the left isn't ashamed because they construct the language. So when they tell you something as, like, ass backwards as I'm a libertarian socialist, which, by the way, doesn't exist, but that doesn't matter because they had the balls to say something that's stupid. Why don't we have that? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, decentrism doesn't work on these people. They actually hate you more because you could be with them, but you're not, or at least not enough. So, anyway, Totem says, if I could choose, freely being gay is probably the best. Gay men are often rich and hot and likes to frick. Yeah. Iron Maiden says, I'm completely neutral-ish towards the trans thing. The funniest thing about it to me is how much it pisses off TERFs. I would take the side of a trans person over a feminist any day of the week. Frankly, I don't want anything to do with it. It's like watching, like, battle royale where both sides are evil, and I'd rather just like I mean, I don't really care how it comes out because I know that it's like Alien versus Predator. No matter who wins, we lose, right? Theron Meyer went woke, big, yeah, I know, but you know what? She hasn't really been active online as far as I know, unless you guys know something about Theron that I don't. And yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I don't. The thing is, I don't care as long as she's not like hurting anyone. I guess Richard Bier says, how much of a factor in making the children more malleable is possibly related to them being on psychotropic medications from early childhood? Well, actually, I think that there is something to that, totally. So I watched the town hall. I think it was the day before yesterday. I could be wrong. I think it was it was the day before yesterday. And I know that a lot of people were like pulling highlights, and they were great highlights, But the one thing that he said that I've been saying for a while is the mental health crisis in the United States. And I think that it's not just the US for one. I think that Canada has a big problem with it. This is why they're literally, instead of like helping people recover, they're just like offering them suicide, which is just monstrous. And there's also stuff going on in the UK and the Europe and all that. So it's not a uniquely US thing, but I do think that our psychiatric and psychological services are just terrible. Like, first of all, they don't work for men because they don't have an interest in working for men. You guys can, that we've talked about the APA, which is the American Psychological Association's guidelines for treating men. It is not for men. It is basically saying they have to become more like women. And then they're so quick to medicate that they will medicate children. And they're not even, they still don't know what like potential long-term effects there are of this. And this is not actually solving the problem because the children are coming up without families or without fathers at the very least, and they're abused and they're damaged and they're sexually molested and they're exposed to teachers that bombard them with bullshit ideas about the world, and they become fearful and traumatized and anxious and antisocial. And so no wonder one day a woman who decides she wants to live as a man gets angry at Christians and goes and shoots up a school. It's not, and of course the left, the people who do this, their first go-to thing is, oh, it's the guns, oh, it's white supremacy, oh, it's insert whatever, like blame here. And it's like, no, it's because they don't have, their family is dysfunctional. They don't know their father's name. They don't know where he is. The mother drove him away, whatever, right? It's usually that. And if we could just address that, which would mean, like, I don't know, holding women to account, which is a crazy idea, but it's the only way I think it's going to, like, even move towards fixing it. Until that happens, like, the pharmaceutical companies are just going to keep making all their money, but more importantly, they're going to continue to have control over the population by medicating them. Like, the number of women on SSRIs is staggering at this point because they think they can just pop a pill and feel better when their problem is not chemical, I think. Like, they should be doing everything else they can first, but that's what they do. And the feminists, like the radicals, the leftists, the Antifa types, the BLM types, etc., most of them are on medication like that. Like, so what do you expect? I've never taken psychotropic meds ever. Okay? And I'm not saying I'm sane because I'm doing this job, but like I see the kind of behavior that comes out of people that are a part of that system, and not in every case, because I'm sure that some of you guys might be on some stuff too, but I mean, it's just staggering. Like we aren't even trying to do other things before we get to that point. I think that putting someone on meds, it should be a last ditch thing. I mean, we put boys on medication for being boys. Like, if they're just kind of rambunctious and high energy. I did substitute teaching, and like, at least here in Virginia, it doesn't look like we're so quick to put kids on medication. So the boys were obviously energetic and they were loud, but they were also curious and they wanted to talk about stuff. And we're talking about first grade, second grade kids, you know. And I was like, why would anyone put this boy on medication because he's a little louder than the girls are? And it's not like the girls don't get loud themselves. So I don't know. I think the problem is, like Richard, you're right. I think that a lot of it is about that. It's about the Ritalin. It's about the whatever they're on these days. I'm not really sure. So, and that leans into the trans thing for sure. So, okay. So Silence Broodmare. Yeah, you're talking about the Twitter CEO. Man, that's a bit worrying. Let me see. Unless you have the ability to place your right ankle behind your left ear and vice versa. Okay, I don't get that. I like how Brian looks so much more healthy. Well, thank you for noticing. I think I'm my hair was all shaggy. I got a haircut not long ago, so it does make me look a little younger. And then I shaved because I had this like fungal infection, and I don't want to gross you guys out, but it was like on my hairline and on my mustache area. I don't know. It was an infection that I got. That was one of the things that put me in the hospital. I had like a couple things. I had a parasite. I don't know how that happened. It was messed up. Since at least 1848, feminists have been cancerous. No, it even before we called it feminism, the politics of resentment existed. That's what we're really talking about. Like, it's basically a resentment and a desire for revenge against people who you perceive as having things better than you. It's Cain and Abel. That's it. That's what feminism is. It's Cain and Abel. It's a very old story. It goes under multiple names, but it's the same stuff. So, McBeb Tamrat says, "Hey Brian, how are you? I'm well. Have we met? I feel like you're all really like friendly. It's just like I wonder if I know you." I see in Rumble chat, Be Bad Sad and Mangaka92 are there. If you guys want to join us, there's a link in the description so you can come into the Discord and hang out. All right. Facebook, Abtar Strawman says, "Looking good, Brian." Yes, hello. Welcome and thanks for joining us on Facebook. Let me see. James Lindsay says it's all Gnosticism. Well, it is. I mean, that's the whole. That it's true, you know. But the that's sort of like how the ideology exists. That's how wokeness exists as a Gnostic construct, where you have like, you know, he called it the outer school. Like, this is from like, I think the Maoist Chinese. There's the outer school, which are the people who they don't really understand the ideology. They don't know what wokeness is. They haven't looked into it, but they just want to belong. They just want to feel like they're a part of something. And that's the overwhelming majority of people that are part of the woke movement, right? They're looking for a sense of belonging, and the woke movement lets them in, provided that they behave and they basically like follow their lead. Then you have the inner school, which are the people that they have read Marx, they've read Marcuse, they've read Hegel, they've read, you know, Paulo Freire and all the feminist work and all that. And they think that what they're doing is like fighting for this cause, but they don't know what's really going on. They just have the literature. They're the people like Vosh that, like, you know, they propagandize, they try to win debates even if it's not founded or grounded in anything like logical. They're okay with lying, they're okay with misleading, they're okay with distorting facts, you know, and telling half truths. That's like the people in our media. That's like the politicians, right? And then you have like the inner circle, which are the people that really know what's going on and what their actual goals are, and what they are willing to do to get there. And most of it has to do with sacrificing the people in the inner and outer schools. So and this is why to some degree, I've always been somewhat sympathetic even to Antifa, because the Antifa thugs are mostly young men that are just looking for a cause. They want direction. I know that their cause is wrong. I know that what they're doing is evil. But the point is, that's what they're looking for, that sense. And these like local Antifa leaders, I forget the woman's name, but she was like a teacher, Asian woman, and she like had all these Antifa guys working for her, but she was like part of the education system. She was an instructor. She was a teacher, and a lot of the times those are the people in the inner school. Like they're well read, they're educated, but they don't know like what's really at stake, right? They think that what they're pushing for is like a better world. They believe in the utopia. So, and the boys, well, it's mostly men. If you notice, yeah, Yvette Falarka, thank you. If you notice, the men, or Antifa is mostly made up of men, but a lot of the leadership, at least like on the local level, is women, because they're the ones that push it. And that's why I say, well, Antifa is just feminism. It's just feminism because there are no anti-feminist Antifa guys. There are no anti-feminist commies. Like some people might say there are, but there's no way that that's true, because you could be like, let's say you're a communist and you're anti-feminist, okay? First of all, you're not going to make any allies because you're not allowed to not have like feminist leanings. Second of all, when you get what you want set up, the gynocentrism that is already in place is going to ensure that your beliefs about feminism or men's issues is going to get thrown right out the window, because there needs to be a class of workers that makes things for the ruling class of communist elites, and that's going to be men, because women aren't going to do it. So you're basically like, you can't be both of those things, because communism is slavery basically, and feminism is slavery of men, and it's the same. It's the politics of revenge. It's Cain and Abel, and Gnosticism is the vehicle through which it is pushed into place. Because if people don't really know what's going on, but they see the outside and it looks really like, oh, they're just enjoying each other's company, and it's like this, the commune, everyone gets along, and love is love, man, and all that. And then you go in there because you want to be a part of that because it looks attractive, and then you get sucked into the cult, because it is a cult. So, Gin Bottle says Lindsay has a superficial knowledge of Gnostic. It means much content in many contexts. Well, speaking about it in this particular context, I know that that's the reason why I don't throw around the word Gnostic or Gnosticism too much, because I know there's a lot of like different ways, but that doesn't matter. Like, the term we use is irrelevant. The point is that there is a face of this, and then there is the truth, and it's hidden, and only the people who are closest to it will know. That's the way it's built, and a lot of things are built like that. I mean, I guess you could think of it like the Force, like you have to learn, or the Matrix. That's another way. So anyway, Knee Scholar, Hegel, didn't know that one. To be fair, I'm only half listening while doing other stuff. Well, there's a lot of Marxist, feminist, writers that have written stuff, but most of it's the same. If you really want to get creeped out, though, look at I mentioned his name a little while ago, Paolo Fieri. He was like a South American commie that. And he's like where all the grooming stuff comes from. It's between him and Bill Finger, and Kinsey. I forget the first name, but Kinsey. So really messed up. And yeah, think about it, guys. If you abuse and violate and traumatize children, then you're basically making foot soldiers. Have to wonder about that. All right. Does anyone else have any? Does anyone else want to come in and ask a question or say something? Shaman King says trans activists versus TERFs is like demon lords fighting Satan. Yeah, it's Exactly. Sort of. It's like Orcus fighting Asmodeus. Like they're both evil. So who cares? Um that's a D&D reference, but it's also like, in biblical stuff, I think. All right, well, if no one else is going to call, first of all, that hurts my feelings, but secondly, oh, I got a super chat. Thank you, Nova Fan. So Nova Fan sends us a super chat for $1 and says, "I keep seeing how hookup culture harms women's futures for marriage. Is this also true for men?" I think, yeah, I think it can. I think less so, maybe, because I'm not trying to say it's a double standard, but I think that if a man, I think that like if you're having a lot of sexual encounters with a lot of different people, I think it does diminish your ability to form meaningful connections with people. So I do think it's going to be an obstacle. I think that a lot of men can overcome it because, like, I mean, I went through a phase of fooling around, but I do think that it's probably like not good either way. So thanks for the super chat, Nova Fan. Yeah, I think it hurts it. I think it does for both men and women. Because if a man has like a bunch of like bad experiences, right? Like he's hooking up and all that, but he's also having bad experiences with women. It's going to make him like very suspicious of women in the future, and maybe that suspicion is deserved. I know that there's a lot that men have to look out for. I think that men are less likely to fool themselves into thinking that it's not a problem, and I think that women are more likely to fool themselves, more likely to say, to like double down on their promiscuity. That's what I think. So, Packard is banned from the call-in show. I didn't ban you. Did you want to call in, Packard, Tom? As long as it's brief. That's the only thing I ask. Nobafan says, "I get the feeling the way men and women see hookup culture in terms of marriage affects men and women differently." Yeah, but I think it affects them both. Honestly, I'm not a prude, but I wouldn't engage in hookup culture as a man. I think it's just too dangerous. It's too dangerous. Like, you can be accused of rape. You could get her pregnant. You could get a disease. There's way too many problems. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. I would spend time with women. I would hang out with them. I would talk with them. I might even make out with them. But even then, I'd be like, because, she could have herpes. I could just get a fucking cold sore or something. It's just, I wouldn't do it until she's been vetted, because if she's like running around like, hooking up with guys, you just don't know where she's been. It's kind of, I wouldn't do it. That's just me. When I was young, I was convinced that what I wanted to do was like save myself for marriage, right? And I ended up failing, but I did try. And I resisted a lot of women too. Like I could have been really successful in high school, but I didn't feel right. I wanted it to be right. Maybe it's naive, whatever. But honestly, I caved on prom night, and then like after that, I was just like fucking everybody, And I kind of regret it in some ways. I have regrets for sure. I don't know if I should have saved myself like before, but I certainly shouldn't have gone way the other way. I don't know if any of you guys have experience with that, but yeah, I took it too far in both directions, I guess. So anyway, Tom says, "When I tried, I got a screen said invitation impossible." I didn't do that. I don't know how to undo that. I'm sorry, Tom. I think I'm gonna wrap it up though anyway, because it's like 7:14, and I was gonna go for an hour and a half, but nobody else called in, and I don't know why you're not able to get in. I apologize for that. I didn't do it, but I'll take responsibility and say I'm sorry. So, Totem says, "I kind of feel bad having sex with a woman I am not in a relationship with, to be honest." Yeah, I think well, I kind of feel bad for the woman too because like I don't know, women sometimes they give it up because they think it's like the only way men will like them. And it's kind of a shitty thing to think about men that like, oh, a woman's like, oh, well, he's not going to like me unless I give him some ass. And I don't think that that's really true. But women think it, and so it causes them to give it up. And of course, there are men who will take it, and then it kind of perpetuates this kind of damaging lie, that all men want is to have sex. I mean, we're certainly driven by that. We're certainly like interested in women sexually, but to your point, Totem, I think that what men would like is a relationship that is also intimate and sexual. But like, I don't know. I think it's kind of a mess. I think women have a really messed up idea about what men are like, and then there are some men that perpetuate that stereotype because they're just looking to benefit. That's where you get like these kind of, dude bro like types that are like talking about their body count and shit, and they think that it's something they could be proud of. And I think that every person that another person crosses paths with in a sexual way, someone or both of them are a little bit damaged at the end because it doesn't work out, or it ends on a bad note, or someone catches a disease, or someone gets pregnant, or something. And I think that it's something that I'm not saying that everybody should remain virgins until they're married, but I think it's something that we have to treat with a lot more respect and delicacy than we do now. Admin settings on the Discord and manually unban him. I don't know if I can, but let me see. Maybe it's under server settings. I don't see it. Anyway. Packard says, I was banned from all the rest of the Badger Discord months ago, so I know it's not you, but I was wondering if this was an exception. I don't know. I guess it's not. I'm sorry. Neat says, for me, it ain't about feeling bad. It's that I don't want to in the first place. What I like in bed is to repeat the same stage and get the highest score I can. One night stands are pointless to me. I see. So you want to like do New Game Plus and get a higher score. Sure. All right. Well, anyway, Tom, you could type me a message if you want to. That might be fine. And I'll read it. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Meanwhile, I'll ask you guys. So what do you think about this new CEO of Twitter? Who's on Twitter? I don't know when she's gonna start, but I would guess that if she starts some shit, maybe Musk will fire her. Maybe what he's doing is he's trying to like offer an olive branch to progressives so they don't leave Twitter, so that like the Hollywood like woke elites and the Disney CEOs and the activists and the journalists and the writers and the feminist commentators, so they don't leave Twitter. Maybe he's like, oh look, I hired one of you to like be the CEO, and he's gonna oversee her, I guess. Maybe that's the plan. Maybe he wants to foster or create a conversation, and the left was fine with it as long as Twitter was banning and censoring people, because they could just get rid of them if they found that they're too disagreeable, like they did to me when I got permanently suspended from Twitter. And this is like a way of trying to get them back. That could be the case. So DOCs says, I'm suspended from Twitter. However, knowing Musk, if she yoles herself, she'll be yeeted out of there so fast we won't even have time to archive her tweets as Twitter CEO. Well, I don't know. Will he? I mean, I don't know. Is Elon Musk the kind of like is he like the two-gun sheriff in the old west town that just throws out anybody who gets out of line? Or is he a little woke himself? I don't know. Nova fan says we should have a Minds account. I'm back up. Well, I have a Minds account. Well, Honey Badger Radio does. I post all the streams there, so you know. All right. Nothing from Packard. So I guess maybe he just wanted to say some stuff. I'm gonna. Oh wait, somebody. Be Bad Sad is in here. Does he need to say something? Does he want to come in? Swash. Let me just message him. Mm-hmm. Theo C says he fired way more than 50% of the Twitter staff. You think he'll stop just because what? Because she's CEO? He's the sole owner. That's Vlad the Impaler powers within a company. Well, I mean, yeah, but what I'm saying is that, like, I think that most of the Twitter staff that got fired because they were, like, they were useless. Like, he didn't, like, they were additional payroll that he didn't need to pay. And yeah, a lot of them were probably woke activist types too. But what I'm wondering about is that did he fire them because they were essentially affecting Twitter's bottom line? Because there's all these people that don't do shit that he has to pay, and apparently Twitter's running itself just fine without them. Or, is it because they're activists? Like, I don't know. That's because, like, why would he hire this person? That's the question. Why would he hire this person? I mean, I couldn't think of any other reason. I mean, she's on the World Economic Forum, for God's sake. They're like the worst people on the planet. I hope those 50% he fired were not programmers. Well, no, I don't think they were. I think they were like, you know, they were like content police women. Because I know it's women mostly. They were like content policers that would like, oh, this person's, you know, distributing disinformation. Oh, this person is saying mean things or whatever. Like, that's mostly what he got rid of. People who basically go around like nitpicking everybody else's tweets. Anyway, Theo C says they were not productive. Yes, which is HR speech for you're not working towards getting the company where it's going. Yeah, well, that's what I think. I think they were useless people that he got rid of. So, maybe she knows where the bodies are buried. Yeah, she knows where the temple to Moloch is, probably. Okay, well, I'm gonna close it out then. Hold on a second. All right. So let me see. Needs color. Women bragging about having wine dispensers in their cafeteria. Some people said that those were like not true, like they were lies. Maybe, but I remember when I was living in Chicago and they built a Google office there, and my mom was like, "Oh, you should go apply at Google. Like they have this building." And I went in there and it looked like a fucking, like, you know, when the McDonald's play place was like new. it was wild. Like so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some truth to that. But yeah, it might be a lie. Okay. So Be Bad Sad was going to come in, but he doesn't know what he wants to talk about. So I'm going to end the show here. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on and hanging out. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this change within Twitter. And, you know, just what we talked about today, like whether or not grooming is like something that is really behind like what causes people to have, I guess you could say, like gender identity choices that are outside of the norm. I don't want to call it a sickness or anything because we don't know, but yeah, like that kind of stuff. So let us know what you guys think about those things in the comments. I'm going to wrap it up here. So if you guys like this video, please smash like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about in the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring.
Thank you very much. That's really nice. Thank you.
And we will talk to you guys. Thanks so much for coming on today's Badger Lodge. Thank you for the people who called in and created interesting conversations in the chat. And we will talk to you all in the next video.
Activists are machines, dude. Okay, they are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.